So Saints Peter and Paul was built in 1932, and we've been a huge part of the Tucson culture and the city for a very long time. We've expanded tremendously over that course of time. We have 406 students. It's mostly a mix of Hispanic and Caucasian students, and yeah, we're a Catholic school, and we focus on kind of like the holistic nature of education. So we have about 10 diagnosed asthmatics, and then we have students that kind of fall in this gray area of, okay, they sometimes have asthma during the cold season, or they have seasonal allergies, so they need inhalers during that time. So we have a lot of students like that, and it's kind of that way around the diocese as well that I've noticed in other schools. So I get here at 8 o'clock in the morning, and some days it starts right at 8. So we have, especially right now with the allergy season, we have a lot of kiddos experiencing congestion, watery, sneezy, all that kind of stuff. And it's only one nurse to 406 students. So, and then other schools, they don't even have a nurse, so they have more of a health aide. And sometimes that person can be wearing all sorts of different hats. So they can be the front office staff, but they're also the health person. They are also in charge of scholarships. So it can get pretty intense. But as for me, I am a registered nurse, and so I can see anything from, you know, upset stomachs, headaches, nausea, vomiting, all of that stuff. And it's really fun, but it can get kind of hectic. I see about maybe 15 to 30 students a day. Okay, so before the stock inhaler program, it was kind of a little scary because we would have students that were diagnosed asthmatics, and even though you try to reach out to the parents and call and try to obtain inhalers, sometimes they're having financial difficulties and they might not be able to provide an inhaler to the school and have one at home. So if there was a student experiencing respiratory distress, it was really just, okay, I guess we just call 911 because we didn't have any other option. And so we've definitely had instances like that before. More so with an EpiPen, I had to call 911 because a kiddo, they weren't given an EpiPen to bring from home. And so they were accidentally given some nuts, and we had to call 911. Luckily, we're right across the street from Banner, so they came over and did a nebulizer treatment. So he actually did end up using albuterol for his food allergy. So before we had the stock inhaler program, that's what we had to do. So now if a student comes in experiencing those respiratory signs and symptoms of distress, we feel just more confident that we have this inhaler that we can administer, and we just follow the protocol on the flow sheet, and it's really easy to do. And then you don't have to call 911 unless you need to, unless the inhaler's not working. So it's been just an added security. When you come to work, you know that you have the tools that you might need if that were to happen. So the times that I've used the inhaler, the stock inhaler, is mostly when I know that the student doesn't have their own inhaler, but they're experiencing respiratory distress. So we had a student last year who came in, and he was just really pale and lethargic looking. And I have a pulse oximeter that reads the SpO2 levels, and he was down to, I want to say, like 79, and that's really, really poor. You know, the norm is between 95 and 100%. And so I called the mom, I let her know, hey, I'm gonna use the inhaler, and we did the protocol, and he just responded immediately to it. I didn't have to call 911. I felt confident that, you know, his SATs were going up to 98%. I had him in the office for a while, just monitoring him, and it just felt good to help this kiddo right then and there. So that's, you know, an example of when I've used the inhaler. So I think that if you're going to have a school you need to have teachers, and you need to have a principal, and you need to have pencils, and you need to have paper. So I think that having inhalers as a part of that it should just be a natural thing, because unfortunately, we have so many students who have asthma or respiratory issues that has to be just something that we do. You know, it just has to be a resource that's always available. And we have a lot of schools all throughout Arizona. So the Diocese of Tucson is comprised of 25 schools. And so you're not only helping the kids in Pima County, but we have kids in San Carlos, we have kids in Yuma, we have Nogales, Sierra Vista, Douglas. And so just how many people that can impact is just phenomenal. And we wouldn't be able to afford them without this help, because we're not funded by the government, and so our budgets are very limited. And so just being able to have these has been just such a blessing to us, and I hope that we can get them in the future. Another thing that's been so helpful in having the stock inhaler is being able to take it with me wherever I go, wherever the student population is. So for example, every Friday morning I go to Mass across the street at St. Peter and Paul Catholic Church with the students. And so instead of having to take this whole bag of each individual asthmatic's inhaler or EpiPen, I can just take one inhaler and my 2 EpiPens across the street with me. So in case anybody did, experience respiratory distress or any sort of allergic reaction, I would just have them right there at my disposal.